Today we're going to be making a rabbit hutch. First things first is laying out the floor. This is 1 inch by 1/2 inch welded wire. It's small enough for the rabbits to be able to stand on, but it's big enough so that their droppings and everything will fall through. First step is just getting your wire unrolled and laid out. This roll wire is 10 feet long by 30 inches wide, and I'm going to be making a 4-section cage for New Zealand rabbits. So I'm going to use the whole piece. Each compartment will be 30 inches by 30 inches. Depending on what variety of rabbits you have, maybe it'll be a little bit smaller, maybe it'll be a little bit bigger. If you're wanting to make just a single cage, you could cut out the floor sections just for each individual cage, whatever size you wanted. Sides and the roof, we're going to use the bigger 1 inch by 2 inch welded wire fencing. This is 36 inches tall, so 18 inches would be center, but for us to be able to have the wires to clamp to, we're going to have to clip out the center 2 sections, and then we'll have 16 inches from this way, 16 inches from that way, and we'll cut out 2 of those 10 foot long, and that'll be the front and rear of the hutch. Quick shot of what I was talking about, cutting the center out. If you were to go right up to the center and try to cut it in half, you would have a wire top on one side, and then the other side you would have just the wire sticking up, and there's no way to join that with something else. So I go ahead and I cut out the whole the 2 inside squares, and then that leaves me with a place to join on the top of both of the pieces that's left. Alright, I got the front and the back done. Next I'll cut out the roof. Alright, we got the 2 sides, or the front and the back, cut out, the floor, and then the roof. The next thing would be to cut out the partitions. Those will be 16 inches by 30 inches. If you were doing just a single cage, you just need the 2 for the 2 ends. For this one, it's a 4 compartment, so I'll need 5 partitions. We got the 5 partitions cut out. I actually ran short on the 1 inch by 2 inch welded wire, and I had another roll of the 1 inch by 1/2 inch floor wire, so I cut it up, and that's what I'll use for the partitions. It doesn't matter either or. This was just a more expensive wire that I had to use, but it was okay because it's what I had on hand, so it'll be fine. Alright, the 3 most popular ways of putting together these cages are probably either zip ties, but they're plastic. Animals can chew through those, and they're not super strong. You can also use hog rings. This is just a set of hog ring pliers. They're not crazy expensive or anything. They work. But my favorite is using the J-clips. J-clip pliers. I'd suggest you order some. If you're lucky enough to find the heavy ones like this, at your store, they're a bit more expensive than the cheap stamped pliers that most places will carry. But those little stamped ones, I never, once I'd get through 1 or 200 rings, they were garbage. So you know, these are the ones that I really like. They're made real heavy, and you know, if you could find those, that would be the best to use. But like I said, J clips are my favorite. The main reason why, you know, hog rings are just as strong. They're metal, but you know, they're not super thick. So when you actually crimp the J-ring around them, you've got all that area, you know, catching your wire. So there's less tendency of your wire, you know, to be able to twist and whatnot with that. Alright, just a quick shot of the J-clip pliers, you know, how they work. You know, you basically just insert your J-clip in it, you know, hook it around your wires and then give it a little squeeze, and you know, right there, goes around it. That's a real good tight fitting connection. Alright, I got one J-clip on this little section. I'm going to throw another one on. It's kind of hard to do one-handed, but get that on. And just to show you how they crimp up pretty good. You know, there's not a lot of twist, you know, or slop with these, with that connection. You know, they like I said, they have more area to contact. You know, they're a little bit slower than an automatic hog ring gun, but I like the way that they, you know, they just have a better hold, and there's not as much slop or give in the way that they go together. I've already got one hog ring on. Go in, put another one, and you can see it's a lot easier to do one-handed. You know, it's probably a lot faster. You can just go bang, bang, bang with it, but you know, the gap between, you know, those two panels is pretty significant. You know, J-clips, they're actually riding up on each other. You gotta get them straight, but I mean, their tolerances are pretty tight. And then, you know, you got the J-clips, and you know, they're loose. There's a lot of slop. You know, they could be twisted, and yeah, that's the reason I prefer the J-clips. It may be a little slower and a little bit more expensive, but you know, you end up with a better product. Alright, we've got the rear of the cage fastened to the floor. You can see that the J-clips there are just every couple inches down through the side there. You know, they can move back and forth and hinge basically on those joints until everything's put together. So I like to do the long ones first, and then put in partitions and whatnot in between them. Alright, we've got the rear and the front both on. Next step will be the end, and then each partition. You don't want to put the top on it if it's multiple compartments, because you'll never be able to get the partitions in there. So that'll be what's next. Alright, we got both of the ends secure. I like going through and counting off or measuring out where the partitions go. Then I'll get through and just put one clip there. It's just so you make sure that everything's where you need it to be prior to putting a bunch of clips together and having the hassle of taking it back apart. Alright, even without the top on it, you can see how rigid the cage itself is, and how well that those J-clips hold everything together. We got the top put on. You can see it's really rigid now. You know, you could probably hang this with just 4 chains on the 4 corners. I'll probably put 4 chains on the 4 corners and then 2 more in the center whenever I go to hang it. But you know, you may have been asking yourself earlier why you know, there's no doors or anything in it, but that's what we're going to get started on next, is the doors for each of them. Alright, to cut the doors out, you know, you just have to basically cut out a square of the wire. You know, the biggest consideration you'd have is, you know, being able to get rabbits in and out, but you also want to make sure that it is big enough for your nesting boxes to go in and out of. Unfortunately, the piece that you cut out can't be used for a door. You'll have to go a couple sections larger, you know, so that it'll fully cover the hole. But this piece won't be wasted. We'll make a little hay feeder out of that. We take the door and just 4 J-clips at the bottom, you know, that'll make a hinge. Like I said, you want it wider, that way it'll actually hit and close off. But yeah, it's just as simple as that. On the, at least on the cage door opening, you know, even though I use side cutter pliers, it'll leave a little barb at each wire. And yeah, I'm just using the plastic cage door guards. You know, they come in a big stick and you cut them the length and install those. It's just a good way to keep from getting cut up. You know, like I said, these are 30 by 30, so you know, you got your whole arm in reaching in to get stuff. Yeah, it'd be real easy to get snagged up on that. Alright, then just a simple spring door closure goes on, and that'll hold that door pretty secure. Section that we cut out to put the door in, you know, cut it sort of like that. It really doesn't matter. And then I'll fold each of the sides in, and then I'll fold this in, and I'll show you how that looks. After the sides are bent in, the bottom's bent in, you know, it kind of makes a little basket, and then you just take your J-clips and fasten that to the door, and you can just shove in a handful of hay, and then they can feed on it and pull it through the inside wire. I actually didn't have any hay to do a demo with, but I do have straw. But yeah, you just stuff it down into the you know, the little cage for you to make, and then of course on the back side, you know, the rabbits can pick at it and pull it through and eat it. The rabbit feeder, it's simple enough. You know, you just got to cut out a hole big enough for that to fit in, and then stick it through, and then each side has a wire clasp that will get down over the wires and hold that in place. Alright, mounting the water bottles are simple enough. You know, it just hooks on the top, it goes through the wire. There's a view of the cage hanging. What we ended up doing was, we've got screws coming out of the back, here and there, for the wire to catch on the back, and then we've got staples and the studs of the wall, drop it down and wired onto the front of it, and as you can see, it's pretty sturdy. Alright, and then we finished the hutch off with just I found a guy who does flat roofs, and got a piece of roofing rubber from him and threw that on top with a couple of weights to keep it from blowing away, and I think it'll do just fine. The water pulls a little bit, but that ain't gonna hurt nothing. It'll evaporate or sit there and everything will be fine.